It's the Mike Tech Show, show number 863. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, Mike Smith. Thank you very much for downloading and subscribing to the show. Please visit the main website at miketechshow.com. You can email me questions and suggestions for show topics. And boy, do I have a stack of email because that is tonight's show. Email me, miketechshow@gmail.com. Don't forget, visit the YouTube page. That's where all the videos are for every show. youtube.com/Michael Smith MTS. And please don't forget to hit subscribe. This show is brought to you by Instant House Call. If you're an MSP or an IT professional, this is what you need for remote access. Instant House Call provides unattended and on-demand remote access. You can try it free by just clicking on the link on my website on the left-hand side. And when you go there, use Mike Tech Show for the promo code and you get a free 15-day trial. And that's just instanthousecall.com. I could not operate my business without that software. I use it every single day. This show is also proud to have a sponsor, MagnusBox. This is what I use for all my clients who want an online backup that's secure, reliable, and I became a partner as soon as I was finished demoing the software and I tested it. And that's what you need to do. Go to magnusbox.com. You can get a trial, test it out, kick the tires, see that it works across all operating systems. Windows 10, Windows 11, Windows Server, Linux, Mac, a Synology, which is really Linux at its core. It just flat out works. You can easily become a partner. And don't forget to mention that you heard it here on the Mike Tech Show, because guess what? You're going to get $100 off your first bill and free white labeling, and they're not done. Half price of the platform fee for your first 3 months. How can you not do that? And if you're a current partner and you're listening, hey, I became a partner by listening to the show. Well, guess what? You recommend someone and they become a partner, you get $100 off your bill. They get $100 off. You get a car. They get a car. No. So everybody gets $100 off. You can't lose with this. This is it. And they're HIPAA compliant. It's what you need for your backup solution. Go to magnusbox.com. So email is the topic for tonight. And I have a stack. And I'm going to start out with the bottom of Kate's email. How's the Phillies pitching this year? I'll get to the rest of her email after this, but this I like. And I told Kate I'm going to answer this on the show. I don't know if you saw the news that Adam Wainwright will miss several weeks at the beginning of the season because he sustained a groin pull in the weight room while training at the Baseball World Classic. I mean, come on, man. Well, that initiated a response from me because Ranger Suarez, who's supposed to be the third starter, is out for a month because he strained his arm at the Baseball World Classic. I completely disagree with major league players. Hold on. So for anybody listening on the audio, for me to pick up a phone and answer it, it has to be that I know it's serious. And it was my wife who surprised me today because she bought airline tickets and she was flying in tomorrow morning. And I was talking about this in the pre-show. Now I'm doing this live on the air. And she got called back to work. She has to report there tomorrow. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. She can't have off tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So she's got to cancel her flight, and I know she'll get a refund because if you book and cancel within 24 hours, they give you 24 hours to be able to refund your money. And this is now the second time because she got COVID in January when she was going to come down. So I was telling everybody how there was not going to be much of a post show tonight. Well, you know what? There's going to be a post show because, I will be partaking in some adult beverages tonight here after the show. So, and I'm leaving this in for the audio. So let me get back to the Phillies and let's vent on that. So I disagree with MLB in allowing players to play in the baseball classic and even the Olympics, because they're talking about bringing baseball back in the Olympics, and the pro players want to play there. Well, you know what? It's too bad you can't, and you shouldn't, because of the contracts. You're talking, some of these players are $30, $40 million a year, and you're going to go play in something that could possibly injure you for the season for people who are paying your salary and tickets and expect to see you. Great example is the Mets and the closer Diaz getting hurt and is going to miss the season. And that's not right. And I was so worried about the Phillies that were playing, and guess what? One of them did get hurt, and it's an important pitcher. So the Phillies right now, Aaron Nola got killed in the fourth inning tonight. So to answer your question, Kate, it's Aaron Nola, Zach Wheeler, Taijuan Walker, Bailey Falter, who I seen a bunch of starts in spring training and I think is very underrated and is going to do good, and then Matt Strahm. The kid who we're supposed to have, Andrew Painter, also got hurt in spring training, and his arm's going to take a couple months. So I completely disagree with players playing outside. I disagreed with the NHL with hockey when they were allowing them. They closed the season down for 2 weeks so they can play in the Olympics and then possibly get hurt and come back. And then now you can't play for your team. I know you can make another case. And you know what? If you are on the other side of that, please email me, okay? I don't want to get too far away from tech, but it was something that hit a chord with me. So I just wanted to respond. And Kate, thank you for asking me that. So she has some thoughts on the latest episode. And I talked about Zoom and what I had to do to uninstall it. But I think I wasn't clear on one of the problems. Kate goes, I was able to move from the free version of Zoom to a paid version without creating a new account. My client had to because he didn't want to use the account that he had the free version with. He needed to use a completely different email. So that's why we had the trouble. So Kate continues, all I did was pay for the plan. I might also have needed to close and reopen Zoom, but certainly nothing more difficult than that. Too late for your client, but should you encounter this again, here's the Zoom support article, and I will link that. And then she says, that said, I agree with Revo uninstaller totally rocks. Revo has saved me a lot of headaches and trouble. So check out the David Lynch Foundation. Yes, that David Lynch. And I am going to, this is Healing Traumatic Stress and Raising Performance, the Center for Resilience. So this is, and it's about TM, Transcendental Meditation, which I mentioned. And she has, have a look around the site to understand more about TM and see some of the programs these folks run. Follow them on social media. They're everywhere. And she continues, I return to this video from time to time because it's totally great. I have the link for the YouTube of David Lynch, Where Do Ideas Come From? And it's only a couple minutes. I suggest you click on that in my show notes. Kate continues, although I do not practice TM, I practice other types of meditation, many of which do not focus on breathing. And this has been tremendously helpful to me. There are many popular apps for meditation. I highly recommend learning to practice meditation from another human being rather than from an app. I sometimes use an app to guide me, but it could never, for me, replace what I've learned from a person. So that's great, Kate. Thank you so much. And I was addressing from another email from a listener, things to help with coping with stress. And everybody's going to have different things. And that's what's so cool. Maybe it is meditation. It's breathing. It might be yoga. It might be, full-blown exercising. To me, music and baseball, two very important things in my life. And that it's all about dealing with mental health, making sure that you are as happy as you can possibly be. And it's something I wanted to bring up because I had someone bring that up to me who's in the tech world and battling with depression and some things. And I was like, I need to mention this. So it's why I wanted to talk about it. And it's nice having all these links available for you. And Kate, thank you for sending that in. I have so many emails here. So let's start with Alan. And he wants to know something, and this is going to take some time to talk. Just curious, have you ever lost a customer to another IT company? Yes, I have. And I'm going to, a couple, and I'm going to talk about that. If so, what were some of the reasons? And what did you learn from this? Anytime we lose a customer to another company, I try to learn from it and get better. Sometimes we just can't make everyone happy. Well, I made a grave mistake a few years ago by hiring or renting out another company that worked for support for me by answering the phone and doing some things where they had an RMM that they resold that I became part of. And instead of me, I tested it on my system and it worked. I didn't do enough testing. And I rolled this out to a new client. And that agent that was put on the clients killed them for performance. Now, they got rid of an IT person who had to travel too far to them. And that was one of the reasons I got the introduction and put a support contract together. And I wanted to make sure that, hey, we're going to do this like a real MSP and put the agent on all the systems. That agent screwed up all the systems, and the person I was purchasing it from couldn't handle it in terms of getting it to perform properly. And that was a big, big issue. And there were a couple other things, but it all involved this other company, and it's why I lost them. They called me up to cancel me and to cancel the contract after a few months, and said they're bringing back, they convinced their other person who was driving too far, the previous IT, they wanted him back. And this is where I learned a valuable lesson. I will not subcontract like that. Or at least have someone be, if it's not, I shouldn't take that back. I can subcontract as long as the client knows that this is a subcontractor that I'm working with, that I trust. And I got to do more vetting. And I will never, ever resell and become part of someone else's RMM. It's why years later, I ended up rolling out Syncro by myself with, for the company, for my son and I to manage all of our clients and to help us, and not buy through someone else or to be part of someone else's ticketing system, or trusting a company to be the first phone call. So I lost another company because of the mistakes that this company made in Outlook. They didn't understand Outlook as much as I thought they did. And the problem, I lost another new client where it wasn't even me, it was someone else who caused all the problems. And they couldn't repair some of the simplest things with Outlook, and I didn't know that. I mean, we talked about so many other things that they were really good at, and they were good, and it did help us for some other clients. But I lost two right off the bat. Now, I've lost a couple to retiring, and a couple clients, I lost a hearing aid doctor's office because they sold the business to another company that had their own IT department. And so I helped them transfer to that IT department. I lost business to another company with the same thing. They retired. They sold the business, and this was a financial advisor where the two owners retired and they were bought. So there's a valuable lesson there. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. And I had a really scamper to recover from that financial advisor one because they were too big of a percentage of my monthly income. And so that was a valuable lesson a few years ago, that you gotta spread it out. You can't have just too many clients, and you got to look at that. What is the percentage of the revenue for all of your clients, and make sure you're diversified. It's like investing. You don't put all your eggs in one basket. You got to diversify. Well, you got to diversify with the amount of clients you have, and you got to spread it. And that's like, what do they say? If selling the ABCs, always be closing, always be getting clients, always be closing, always be looking to bring on another client. I just closed a deal where I have another company that they have 11 workstations, and we're going to be managing them. And I wouldn't go until they paid for the block of hours for a couple of projects we're going to be working on, and the fees for managed monitoring of all their systems, and I needed them to prepay for a quarter. They just paid this week. So I'm going to be onboarding them. We just onboarded the server Monday night. And so now we're going to onboard the rest of the equipment. So I am always, and my son has his antennas up, and that's why he's in BNI. As a matter of fact, he's the president of the chapter already. And we're always looking for new opportunities and new businesses. We can never have enough. You cannot be satisfied and just say, okay, I'm happy, because things happen. Companies, they sell the business. They retire. You know, now that I've been in business since 2008 doing all of this, well, my clients are getting older and they're going to start, selling the business, and who are they going to sell it to? Unless they buy up a smaller company, which is what I like, and I enjoy that. I want to be like the Borg. I want to assimilate. I don't want to be assimilated. So anyway, Alan, I hope that helps you and the things that I learned, but also you cannot trust anyone for your business. You are responsible for your business, and don't rely on someone else being the front face or too important of the interfacing with your customer, where that was a critical problem, and I let them install the agent, and I shouldn't have. And I had the client for a few months and lost them, and this could have been a really, really good client. And I understand. There's nothing I could do except help transition back to the other IT support. This is also from Alan, and I wanted to, he left this comment on YouTube on one of my shows, and I wanted to address it. You talked about installing updates on the server. We are looking for a better way to do our server updates. How do you handle them typically? The weekend of every Patch Tuesday? Yes. If so, on the weekend, do you update them remotely or on site? That is a tremendous question. We update them remotely. But we got to be ready to go there if there's a problem. A great example. There's a client with 2 servers, and I update, and this is interesting. One of them, it's a real server, but it's running Windows 10. So, and that's not natural to be running Windows 10 on server hardware. And I don't think all the drivers are proper. And I inherited this, and every time we do updates, it gets hung. And the owner has to reboot the server Monday morning. That's been okay, but it's been 2 months in a row. I got to find a solution for this. So this is something that I'm still working on. And now one of the I always remote in and do it. There is one client I will only do them on site. It's our biggest client, and my son is there to manage that. I might remote in and start it, but he's there on site just in case. They're the biggest percentage client of my revenue. I am not going to take a chance. Not going to do it. They have an untangled firewall. I refuse to do that remotely. We're on site if I'm going to do the upgrade. Yet I have other clients I do it. That's okay. Hey, if they got to come in and reboot it, or if my son has to be there Monday morning, or me when I'm back up in Pennsylvania, that's fine. We don't mind that. And so you got to weigh the risks. What if something happens remotely and you can't get there? What do you do? So even my South Florida client, where I'm not on site, I'll do those updates. But you know what? I'm very fortunate that I have Uncle Marv close by, that if there's an issue, I can get him into that office and he can help resolve it and have hands on. So do I take chances? No. Maybe a little bit, but I weigh that risk. Yeah. And that's my best advice. If this is a client that you can do it remotely, then I strongly recommend pausing the updates and running them only the weekend after Patch Tuesday. That weekend, my son has lots of updates to do. I have a lot of updates to do. And we even have a department that their engineering staff, there's like 5-6 systems. They do not want to be interrupted ever with an update. So that weekend after Patch Tuesday, we unpause the updates, run the updates, boom. And my son does that every month. Takes a couple hours. It's worth it. So hopefully that gives you things. I will not push updates automatically. I do them manually on a server. Even though I could have a policy in Syncro, and I do have that policy for workstations, I just don't trust it on the servers, even though I know it'll work. On a real server, I make sure that I am manually running the updates monthly. Yes. Is it costing me more time? Yes. But I'm also reducing the risk. All right. This is from Michael, and he says, "Hi, Mike. Some odd reason when I click on an email link, it wants to use Hotmail Live Mail on the web. How can I change it to Gmail?" You know, that's interesting because you can only pick a browser, and I'm wondering what is the default for the browser that you have. And I'm going to assume, let's say it's Windows 10. Well, you can click and go to settings, and then in settings, go to apps, and then go to default apps. What is the email? Is it Outlook? Is it a browser? So when you say you want it to default to Gmail, is it Gmail in a browser and it's a particular browser? Or is it Gmail and you're getting your mail in Outlook? So just double check what is the default app for email on your Windows. And then from there, dig deeper. What's the default when you when you open that browser? So, and then you might need to change that. Jerry, this is in response to me mentioning that I have a photographer looking for online storage. Have you ever considered smugmug.com offering unlimited full resolution JPEG storage? No, I have not. And so smugmug.com is going to be in the show notes. I hope this is a help, and thank you for all the help and information you share. So there's $13 a month, and then there's everything you need to start selling your photography at $28 a month. Now, this is someone just for storage, and then efficiently scale. I'm worried about unlimited, sizes. So they have to have some kind of a limit. They wouldn't be in business if they could be unlimited. So that's the one thing I just need to check, which is how much are we talking about, for 384 a year, which is their biggest scale, for their photo business, because I'm talking 30, 40 terabytes. I have two photographers that are pushing, over 40 terabytes. So we're looking from maybe 50 to 100 terabytes of storage for these photographers. This may not scale for them, but I want to bring this up to everybody because, hey, check this out for online storage. I have never considered this, and take a look, and you might be able to save some money and see how it is. So, Jerry, thank you very much. This is from Bob, and he talks about the story of he listened to the podcast on Chrome OS Flex, And he has a bunch of old laptops and computers, so he decided to give it a try. I went to your link and read the instructions on how to create the install media. In the instructions, they have a list of computers by brand name called a certified models list. These were the instructions for creating the install media, and he has them there. You identify your Chromebook, and I decided to try installing it on my old Bytespeed laptop with an Intel chipset that wasn't listed in the certified models hardware list. And he has the list, like it says, if it's certified, minor issues, major issues. And I think what you get in the end of support date when the system you have is in this certified list. My Bytespeed laptop wasn't in the list, but it installed just fine and worked perfectly. So don't be thrown off if it's not in the list. The only thing I saw was there was no end of support date when I looked it up in the settings. That would not bother me at all. If I have a Chromebook, that's a throwaway. And if this is old hardware that you're trying to just find some secondary use for rather than throw it away and you're going to make a Chromebook, I could care less about support. But does it work and does it satisfy you? And it looks like it did, Bob, for some old hardware. And I really, really appreciated that. And he sent me lots of pictures. And he says, my next test will be to put it on a system that is in the certified model list and see if it will display the end of support date. So take care. This is Bob from Dover, New Hampshire. And this is a secondary email from Bob, and this is a great warning. And I'm going to have a link here. So let me describe this. After an incident we had here at work, I sent this message out to all staff. Same goes for at home. Here's what he sent out. If you receive the pop-up in this email or anything similar, and he has bold, every time do not, it's bolded. Do not call the number. Do not download any files they tell you to download, and do not give them access to your computer, and do not give them your credit card number. That's a great paragraph, and you should include that as a warning for anybody, any of your clients, especially if they ask the question, hey, I got this pop-up, and say, hey, you know what? Ignore that. Let me jump in and do a quick cleaning, and then send them that email or send it to people you think could be vulnerable to this. We have a bunch of clients that are vulnerable to that. We have, and remember, I've talked about a couple where they're incapable of learning. They believe everything they read because they can't even conceive that another human being would want to do something bad to you or steal your information. They can't even conceive it, even though it's happened to them. So it's very, very interesting. I like this. This is really good. And he included here, I have attached a URL to a video on how to support a tech support scam. It has some great information, and it is just under 3 minutes. Well worth watching, and it's the support from Microsoft.com, the video that will be in the link. Bob, thank you so much for that. I really, really, really appreciate it. And I think I got to everybody's email. So lots of stuff happening, and that's it. Please support the sponsors, Instant House Call and Magnus Box. I really appreciate it. And I wish everybody a happy and safe week. And I'll see you next week. Same time, same channel. Bye-bye, everybody.